Welcome to the Body and Beyond podcast with Alice and Gina,
a podcast sparking discussion on all things health, mindset, fitness, goals, and motivation.
We strive to help you to boost your confidence, to take the lead in your own life, to back yourself, and to step into your full potential. Body and Beyond is proudly sponsored by The Seed Cycle. The Seed Cycle is a beautiful female-founded Australian company. Seed cycling is a natural methodology that you can use to support your menstruation and your ovulation, and it can even be used to support your hormones through perimenopause and menopause. If you'd like 50% off your first month subscription, use the code BODYANDBEYOND at the Seed Cycle website www.theseedcycle.com.au.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Body and Beyond podcast. I am here with Gina, and today we are joined by a very special guest. We wanted to chat about exceeding your comfort zone and embracing discomfort. We know that outside your comfort zone is where the magic definitely happens, and it is so much to do with not just showing up, but how you show up. So please welcome our guest today, fitness and health expert, multidisciplined athlete, media personality, business mentor, and sucker for punishment, Jenna Louise.
Thank you, girls, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be a part of this with you girls. You guys are absolutely amazing. So an honor.
Yeah, and who better to have on this amazing topic, exceeding your comfort zone, embracing discomfort. You are definitely the lady I thought of when we thought of this topic. So thanks for being here.
Yeah. Pleasure. I'm looking forward to chatting.
We would love to hear a little more about you, Jenna, just for our followers who may not know you yet, what your daily dose of discomfort means to you, because we know you as the woman bringing daily dose of discomfort to everyone on social media.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it little. That is like the key word. I'm 36, so I've lived such a huge life. But yes, I think for me, I've always been active. Like growing up as a kid, I was a competitive gymnast. And soccer player and blader, I was all into the action sports, snowboarding, wakeboarding, mountain biking, all that sort of stuff. So I've had this like competitive edge wired deep within from a very young age. And so that sort of translated into my adulthood, and, not many things have changed in the adrenaline side of life. And that's why I like to go as sucker for punishment, because I like to put myself in uncomfortable situations as often as I can. And that's kind of where my daily dose of discomfort sort of bred from. I find that putting myself in various levels of discomfort as often as I can produces growth. On the other side of discomfort is growth. And that is my motto, discomfort equals growth. And it's something that I truly do stand by, because I know, and I've experienced time and time again, the benefits that come from putting yourself in an uncomfortable state, sticking with it, controlling that inner dialogue, and, coming out the other side with, all this additional data on yourself, and, in turn, a lot of growth. Yeah. And that's something that I think is, forever evolving. It's never going to stop. And we as humans, as we go through life, we are continuously evolving. So for me, putting myself in a controlled state, in a uncomfortable state as often as I can, helps to produce growth, so that when things are out of my control, I am as equipped as I think I would like to be able to face those uncomfortable moments that are out of my control in life. Yeah. So that's really where my daily dose of discomfort sort of stemmed from. And, the ability for me to share that with people who follow me is just great, because I love seeing other people, not only in uncomfortable states, but, on the other side, how happy they are at what they've been able to achieve for themselves through going through, whatever that daily dose of discomfort was for them.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of the most vivid memories I have with you is Hurt Camp. Do you remember Hurt Camp?
Yes. Oh my God, Hurt Camp. See, that what is a prime example. 6 hours, I believe it was. I think 6 hours, was it?
Yeah, I think
6 hours.
For those who are not sure
like,
what Hurt Camp is, I'm pretty sure it was you who roped us into this, of course. But we were roped into this day of basically being put through these incredibly tough fitness challenges. I just remember looking over, I think it was similar to like a beep test that we were doing or something, but we had like bear crawls and
it's a modified zoo beep test.
Yes.
So, yeah, I still do that to this day.
I actually broke tears in that exercise. And I just remember looking over at Jenna and just being like, this woman is not a human. Like, she's not a human. You just kept going and going and going. So I have definitely witnessed, I guess being a Canberra girl as well, I've witnessed Jenna in her incredible state of just like go, which is something else.
Well, we've shared a lot of experiences in that sense. You know, we hosted the Lorna Jane thing together as well. And, you know, there's a lot of animal type style movements in that as well. But yeah, Hurt Camp was insane. It was like the first taste of something that was at length that sort of gave me the need to want to do more.
You think that was the first, like one of the first things? Like,
yeah, so at length in terms of, you know, how long can I endure pain for?
Yeah.
So for me, that was like 6 hours of challenging my body, but also my mind state. But I just remember like how I was feeling during those times, like during those 6 hours, I was like, man, we're 4 hours in and I'm still not even done. Like, I'm so stoked for the next thing. I'm so like eager to keep going. And, you know, I got to the 6 hours and I was surprised in how I was feeling. You know, I was like, this is so good. Like, I just need to do more. And, you know, we can talk about it a little later on. But that's sort of where I got the hunger for more lengthy, more endurance type events and periods of discomfort. Like, it's something to be said for a daily thing to put yourself in an uncomfortable state. But then there's those voluntary moments of hunting out something that's really going to challenge you for an extended period of time.
Yeah. So, I mean, how much do you feel as an athlete yourself, and obviously someone who really does work through very high performance when it comes to training, how much do you think mindset plays a role in your physical fitness and your performance basically?
Huge. I think definitely, you know, I feel most people are in a constant negotiation with themselves, especially when it comes to being physically and mentally challenged and emotionally challenged as well. I think we're in a constant state of, you know, that chatter that's going on within, constantly making agreements with ourselves, as in like, don't give up now, you've got one more to go, get it done. Like, it's a constant negotiation. Yeah. And I think a lot of people fall short at their perceived limitations. Mm-hmm. So I think there is so much to be said for working on the mental fitness, not just the physical fitness. I think more than anything, I spend 80% of the time working on my mental fitness, and, you know, the rest of the time I'm working on my physical fitness, because the mental aspect is so important and it has such a huge ability to push you further performance wise. So definitely in terms of, you know, having a growth mindset can improve your athletic ability for sure. But it's really about being able to harness and taking ownership of your in your inner dialogue and what's happening internally during those challenging moments. You know, what are the things that you say to yourself? What's the conversations? Are they fueling you? Or are they bringing you down and making you want to quit?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Jenna, I would love to know when you're in a peak moment, so you're literally in one of your most discomfort, like the peaks of being in discomfort for you. I was really curious to know, because you have mentioned internal dialogue a couple of times, what does go on in your head in those peaks, not just the day-to-day discomfort that you're used to, but actually for you, the genuine peak of discomfort.
Do you have any
Yes.
specific, like, lines or things that you say to yourself as well during those moments?
Well, yeah, there's a few things that come to mind. So one thing that, you know, was wired really deep within from one of these voluntary you know, immersions that I went on was a 48-hour warrior immersion course in 2017. And it actually come at a real pivotal point in my life. It came at the most perfect time. And I went and put myself into this 48-hour warrior immersion course. And that was with my now fiance. And now I'm a coach on these courses. But I just remember, you know, the things that was wired deep within that 48 hours. We were going for 48 hours with 3 hours sleep. We were food deprived, sleep deprived. Our cognitive functions were very low because you're going hard for so long, and you're doing not just physical tests, but you're doing like these, like sorting rice, for instance, like brown white rice to white rice in the dark with a torch for hours. Like, it's stuff that's designed to fuck with your brain. And, you know, the thing that kept me going through that entire 48 hours was, first of all, I hate the fact of failure. I don't like to fail at anything. And I'm super competitive. And I was like the leading female there. I was trying to change the perception of, you know, what females could actually do and achieve, and that this is not just a men's thing. But the thing that was getting me through was that repeated line in my head: I love this shit. Like, it's so simple. It is so simple, but we even yelled it out. We yelled it out so many times, and it just produced so much adrenaline and so much excitement and so much energy just from that line. And, you know, in the start, it was hard because I didn't really mean it. But the further into that physical challenge within that 48 hours, I started to believe it. I'm like, I fucking actually love this shit. Like,
yeah,
of course I do. This is who I am. This shit's bred into me. This is what, you know, what I've created and built upon over all these years of my life. This is what I'm good at. So, you know, I do love this shit. It ended up becoming mine, which was really, really cool. But I think to help you guys along a little bit, and those listening, is there's definitely, I like to compartmentalize what can actually happen during discomfort and uncomfortable moments. And I like to put them into like 5 elements or five segments. And the first one is, it starts with the decision. Like, it's your decision whether you continue to keep going or you back off and quit. That is your decision. But that's where it starts. It's like,
Absolutely.
okay, I'm in this uncomfortable state right now. What is the decision I'm going to make? Am I going to stop right now and just throw in the towel and accept that? Or am I going to keep going? For me, I'm always going to keep going. You know, I'm just wired that way. Humans are wired to avoid physical pain. Let's be honest. So it does take work to get your brain to a point to push harder than it ever has before. But if you make the decision to do that and make it your mission to achieve that, then the following points might help. So then the second one is your thoughts. So we've just touched on the thoughts that go through your mind during like discomfort. And the one thing that helped me was, you know, I love this shit, and sentences like that. But then also understanding and being aware of the inner dialogue that's going on in your mind really helps to be able to go, okay, so I've got this awareness, I've got this devil on my shoulder over here, but because I've made a decision, I'm going to keep going. No matter what this devil says, I'm going to be an angel, and I'm going to stick true to my word, and I'm going to continue going. So that's the thoughts. So we've got the decision, then we've got the thoughts. Then we have body language. So body language plays a huge role in being able to positively reinforce you to keep on going. So I mean, I like to explain these as they're non-verbal reveals. So because it's your body language, you're not verbal about it, but they have massive impacts on your performance and also your recovery between sets. So if you're hunched over or lying on the ground between a set, you're less likely to get up with energy and excitement to keep on going towards that next set. If you stay, you stay proud, you're able to breathe deeper and better. So your recovery rate is going to be a lot quicker and a lot more productive than, you know, when you're lumping down on the ground and, you know, in a heap of crap. Then we have facial expressions. So planting a smile on your face, even if it's fake, can work, especially in the short term. I think like in the short term, sometimes we do have to fake it, but over time you can train your brain to enjoy what you're going through. So also being aware of your facial expressions, much like the body language component. You have that self-awareness of, okay, my facial expressions, what do I need to tap into to help me keep going? That's right, I need to put a smile on my face. And the chemical reaction from that, just one thing alone, can help you get to the next set, or can help you get, you know, 10 minutes further down the track, or, you know, a K further down the track. You know, I think in the first instance, faking it works. So don't be afraid to fake it because initially it's going to help you. And then the last one would be the energy. So we know as humans that we need support from other people. And because COVID has happened, it's really minimized interaction with people. It's really minimized the physical touch and things like that. So motivation is even harder to come by. So I think the energy outwards, encouraging people vocally, bringing back the physical touch as much as we possibly can, and just being that energy for the people in the room. I know when I am like that, first of all, people can hear me the moment I walk into a room because I'm yelling at the top of my lungs because I'm just so excited. And then secondly, it helps me. So when I am helping somebody else and being vocal and, you know, giving people a tap on the back and yelling at people and all that sort of stuff, externally sharing my encouragement, my energy, it helps push me further, faster and longer. Yes. So I feel like, you know, it's a win-win situation. Yes. And it's just something that I just high vibe on. Like I absolutely love it. I love being in a group environment. But energy overall, 100% needs to be there if you want to be able to, you know, improve your physical performance, but mental as well. So there was 5 elements there that you can tap into and try and remember. If you need help, I've actually got a positive reinforcement toolkit that's you can download from my website. It touches on all of those as well. So all of those elements are positive reinforcements to help improve your physical performance.
Yeah. It's funny, amazing. Like when you mentioned that, the body language one,
yeah.
When we did Hurt Camp, I remember that's one thing that literally stuck with me until today. They would not let you crouch down or bend over. And for me, that was like, I was really annoyed about it because all I wanted to do was crouch down and they were just yelling, don't bend over, stand up straight. And I was like, I was just hating it so much. But at the same time, like it did help. And I've never to this day not thought of that again. Like after every single workout when I'm in pain, I'm always like, stay up straight, take deep breaths. Like it just really stuck with me. So
how good is that? How good is that though? Like, and that was years and years and years ago. And it's something that stuck with you. And I think it's an instant reaction for us as a coping mechanism to, you know, crouch over. And if you think about your opponent, for instance, if you're in a team and your opponent, or if you're a fighter and you're bending over and your opponent is seeing that, you just look weak.
Yeah.
You look weak. So you're vulnerable, you look weak, rather than if you're standing up with pride and you're standing strong, you're able to breathe better. Noted, that's just like one major thing about being able to stand up with better posture because you can breathe way better. You're going to look scarier to that person, you know, like to your opponent in the boxing ring. So I don't know, body language is a major part of it, and physiologically and chemically as well. It provides you with a lot more fuel to want to be able to keep on going for longer and faster and harder and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So the next question was, how do you think that these kind of methodologies and exceeding your comfort zone, embracing discomfort, how do you think this translates across to the outside world? So everyday life, not just in training sessions?
Yeah, I think as I touched on a little bit earlier, I think it's like so important to be able to do what you can in your control to prep yourself and prime yourself, and prime your mind to a point where when something happens that's out of your control, you're not going to be as reactive as what you originally thought you would have been. So doing everything in our control, so when the things that are out of our control happen, we're able to cope a lot better. So for me, the one constant in my life is training. And so if I'm constant with my training, I use my training as a tool to improve my mental state, then I'm doing something each and every day to improve my mental state, which, you know, if I look at it just like that, it's not just physical training, it's mental training. And if you're combining the two, I think for me, definitely, it's going to help in the long run, and in not just within a gym environment or a fitness environment, it's going to help translate into everything else that I do in life.
Yeah.
You know, you can never be fully prepared, right? You can never, ever be fully prepared. And there are things that are going to happen in life that absolutely cripple you. And, you know, you can experience some really low lows and some pretty deep depths. So nothing is going to prepare you for how you have to overcome those. But in order to do what you can in your controlled environment, I think, you know, I'd like to think that I'm doing what I can in order to, you know, help battle those when they do come about.
And on that note, you are an absolute machine, obviously. When do you know when it is time to rest compared to when it is maybe an internal battle that you just need to push through, compared to genuine physical need for rest? How do you differentiate that for you?
That's a really good question, because I find that a lot of people have a really hard time deciphering what's what. And, you know, like I've had that many clients who I can see are pushing themselves hard, but then they'll stop because there's fear of the hurt that's going to come from pushing past their perceived limit. So they stop. And so they've neglected the growth, essentially. You know, they've stayed over here on the safe side, rather than going through, piercing past that, you know, I call it the sparkle zone, pierce through that little zone and go into the sparkle zone. And I feel like we're cutting ourselves so short so often.
Like say mid-set, and they you know, understanding, is it time to rest or is it time to push through? And that's, I think, like in the middle of a training session. But I was also curious as well for you, say it's the morning and you're about to go and train, on a bigger scale, when do you know that your body has had enough or you need a rest day, like an actual day off? How do you know when it's the right day to push through?
I was actually thinking to myself when you were chatting earlier, like that exact thing, like, because you're someone who's so good at that self-dialogue, that inner dialogue of telling yourself to keep going. Like, how do you know when it's the right time to do the opposite?
True. And I know that by how my body feels. So I'm really connected to myself, like you said, my inner dialogue, but I'm also really connected with my mindful practice of training and eating and all those sorts of things. It's taken years and years to get to that point, though, and it doesn't happen overnight. But what I'm really great at is, if I do wake up in the morning, like you said, Gina, if I wake up in the morning and I had this workout planned, or I had this, you know, full day planned of whatever it was that I was doing, I'm not afraid to admit that, you know, maybe my body needs a rest, because it's going to help produce the next phase of growth that I need. So if I take today off, you know, I'm going to be able to perform better tomorrow. I'm going to be able to do certain things today to give back to my body, so that tomorrow and the week ahead, I'm able to hit the goals that I really want to hit. So when I do take a day off, my day offs aren't sitting around and not doing any movement. My days off include movement, but they're mindful movement practices. So I'll do, my biggest thing is one of my biggest non-negotiables is getting out in nature as often as I can because of what it does for my mind. I'm that type of person that needs to be outdoors. Like I need the outdoor life. So if I feel like I need a rest or recovery day, my first and foremost thing that I do is head on outside and I'll go for a walk, or I'll head towards a trail and I'll just hit a mountain or something like that. And I'll come back and I'll do a stretching routine or a mobility routine for roughly about 30 minutes. So I'm still getting that dose of movement for my mind, because I know that I need it. And then I'll take it easy with work. So everything, because of the type of work that I do, and you guys will probably relate to this, the type of work that I do now, it's basically, infused in my training as well. So I train and I work, and, my work is my training type scenario. And, I help people train, and I create programs for people, and I mentor people in training. And, it is something that I want to also keep my hobby and my passion as well. So rather than killing myself and not having rest days, I know when to rest, and I know when my body needs it, more importantly. And let's use this morning for an example. I went to a class with my sister where I actually had something else planned, but I went to a class with my sister, and we finished the session. I felt like I didn't do much. It was only a 35-minute class. And then I jumped on the bike code for I was going to go for 25 Ks. And then I felt my legs were really heavy, and they kind of had a bit of like pins and needles, so sharpness to them. And I'm like, my legs are really dommed at the moment. So I'm just going to go for like 5-10 Ks and get off and do some stretching. That's exactly what I did. It's like just that mindfulness. And, it's not making excuses for why I couldn't do anything. It's being smart for why I want to be able to achieve what I want to achieve. So, and it's definitely there's definitely been a switch there over the, course of my training life where, I never, ever used to take rest days. Ever.
I know. I know you.
I felt like I didn't need it. But now I'm getting older as well. Like I have to be smart. I had knee surgery at the start of the year, and even that, my warm-ups and my cool downs and my stretching are way longer than the actual session itself. I spend more time warming up and cooling down than I do in my training. But it's prime. They're incidentals to my sessions and my workouts. And they do form part of it. So, but I enjoy it as well because I know I'm giving back to my body. I'm trying to keep my body as healthy as I can so I can move for longevity of life.
And it's beautiful that you said it, took some time for you to really, find what really works for you and your body and when to take rest. And I feel like so many people, especially when they're new to training, new to exercise, they're so motivated and they just want to train, 7 days a week, hard training. Obviously, you've spoken about that more downtime, going for walks and stretching, mobility work and that kind of thing. But they're not quite at that point, that stage yet where they know their bodies and they know what's, when to pull back, when to push. Like you said, sometimes taking a step back and recovering can mean you have a super effective session the following day. So it's going to step you forward towards your goals even faster than just drilling yourself down into the ground. So it is about that balance.
And you're just so much more motivated too when you do take a rest day. I think it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to my workout tomorrow. I can't wait to do my session. And so it sort of takes you out of the mundane and puts you into a bit more of an excited frame of mind. Yeah,
awesome.
I would love to hear from you, Jenna, as well. Like any defining moments, or not defining, but any particular moments that you can recall that have been like your hardest physically, mentally during a certain session, or was it some specific activity you've done? Like, are there any moments that you can share with us where you can remember?
Yes. Yeah. So thank you for reminding me about Hurt Camp, because that was the catalyst to me voluntarily looking to put myself into extreme challenges. So, thank you for the reminder, because I completely forgot. And this is something I'm actually really trying to work on, is reflection. I find it really hard to reflect on what I've achieved and what I've been able to do over the years. And they almost get in the forgotten basket. So yes, it's something I am working on. So I'm working on reflecting on my successes, but while I am in that successful period and I'm achieving something, I'm trying to bask in it. Yeah. So it's something that's, I'm really trying to work on, because usually, up until recently, usually I'll hit a goal, but I've already planned the next one, and I'm already thinking about, what to do for the next goal and stuff like that. But her camp was the catalyst, and so that was a 6-hour event, and then we had the 48-hour warrior immersion course, which was at an extreme pivotal point in my life, where I, within a week, but it was a long lead up. It was a good couple of years leading up to this, where I knew I needed to make a change. But within the week, I had left my job, I'd left my relationship, I'd left my dog, I'd left all my investment properties, my family and my friends, and my home of my entire life. And I've just picked up and moved to Sydney because I wanted more for myself, because I wanted to make my own decisions, and because I wanted to have my own voice, and I wanted to have, the life that I believed that I deserved. So for me, the warrior immersion course, when I moved to Sydney, it was 2 days later that I dove straight into that 48-hour warrior immersion course. And I was just smacked in the face with reality, which can be extremely confronting and scary at the same time. And you're put into a group of, for me at that stage, it was a group of men. And there was one other lady there. There was a group of men who came for the same thing, and you're basically, in selection training for 48 hours. Yes. So we were going for 48 hours. Like I said earlier, I had 3 hours sleep. I was extremely food deprived. And we have food deprivation, sleep deprivation for a purpose, but it's at a safe level. So it's never, it's never given to you out of
it's all planned,
because we're trying to break you in that sense. It is planned, and it's there for a purpose. And Alice, you probably know a lot about this, given Warren's background as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just that was our first that was my first pivotal point in my physical and mental fitness aspect, and then the second one was, and again it was a voluntary hunt down for this. I did a 24-hour stationary bike erg ride for the Butterfly Foundation, which is about eating disorders, raising money for people with disorderly eating, which is something that's close to my heart. I suffered with bulimia for up to 10 years. So I want to do what I can in order to raise awareness for disorderly eating. But we did a 24-hour bike erg ride, and I think I ended up doing 625 Ks within the 24 hours. And I was so pumped for this. Like, I was so excited. I knew it was going to be painful, but honestly, wow. It was so painful.
Yeah.
To the point where, the first few hours were fun. It was fun because I love the bike erg. I love riding. I love physical challenges, get me beyond 100 Ks, and I'm so pumped. And then it got to I remember it getting to 12, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And I'm like, what the hell is this about? I literally could not put my bum on the seat without severe pain. It was so painful. I even had my bibs on, so I had padding in my shorts. I had towels stacked up on the seat to make it a little bit fatter, so I could actually sit on my bum cheeks, and still nothing would help. And I just had to go through the pain. I'm like, wow. You're here for a greater purpose. You're here because you want to raise awareness for people with disorderly eating, something that you've gone through. You want to help people, so you have no other choice but to keep on going. And, I remember the last hour, and my knees at the time, it was right before my knee surgery, my knees were so swollen. So I would jump off the bike and try and get 15 minutes of icing on the knees, elevation, all that sort of stuff. trying to just give them a bit of rest, but I found that it just made them worse anyway. So there was a lot of physical discomfort during that 24-hour period. And I remember getting to like the last hour, and all of a sudden, my energy bar went from like red, dinging red over here, and it went zzz, green, like in Mortal Kombat there. And I just got all this energy, this massive dose of energy back. Nothing was hurting. I put all of that, perceived pain behind of me because I knew it was coming to an end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was a massive achievement for me and for everybody who I was doing it with. And to spend 24 hours with people that putting themselves through that same physical pain, mental pain as well. We made such great bonds in that 24 hours, and it was definitely worth it. Something that I'll always cherish. I'll always cherish that. So I think those three things, Hurt Camp, the 48-hour Warrior Immersion course, and the 625 Ks have been my highlights for sure. I think there's definitely a level of guilt because it's been so that the ride was 2020, the end of 2020, and COVID sort of has been around a bit. So there's been like a level of guilt that I haven't put myself into something else. So it's coming close, folks. It's coming close. I've got to put myself into something extreme again. I'm hungry for it. I'm ready for it. And yeah, it's time. I just don't know what that is yet. So
we can't wait to see. We'll be watching.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely excited to see what you do next, Jenna. So Jenna, the other thing I was curious about was you're obviously living a very full-on life. You're extremely driven and motivated and on the go constantly. Do you think it is important to have a supportive partner that you do life with? And does that influence, the way you relate with each other? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I say yes because I've had both. So I've had a relationship where the person he wasn't active at all. He didn't train. He was overweight. He didn't do anything for himself. Mm-hmm. I've had that side. Then I've had another relationship that's, not supportive of where I believe I could be. Was controlling in the sense of, it's a phase. It'll go by, stay in your office job, very controlling in terms of what he wanted for life. And then I'm in a relationship now that has both, it has somebody I can train with who supports my goals physically, who, does them with me, who challenges me, and who supports my big dreams and aspirations. And, in some shape or form, he's got way bigger aspirations and dreams than I do. So I think, and of course, because, you also said that, I do travel around a lot. We travel around together, which is even better. Together, we run active escapes together. There's military style events that he runs and I'm support on, and then there's events that I run and he's support on. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely the need, especially for me, to have somebody that can support me in work, in my physical fitness, and in my goals, absolutely, and vice versa. When you're giving to somebody, you hope that you receive that back, and that's exactly where I'm at in my life now, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm so happy for you.
Me too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Actually seeing you go through that transition.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my gosh, like hard to transition, and especially when you have when you're dealing with other people's lives. Like it's never something that's easy to do when you have somebody else's life in your hands, and that your decisions are going to impact them so greatly. But at the end of the day, you have to first and foremost make sure that you are happy and that you're staying true to your values, and that you are being who you think you can be and that you want to be, no matter who you're with. So
Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you.
That's great advice. I was just going to say, do you have any advice for anyone who might be feeling like they're in a situation like that, maybe not getting the support or having that support around them? But I think what you just said was perfect, really, and being true to yourself as well, and really like yourself and what you need.
100%. Everybody's situation is different. Like, some people like a relationship where they're completely different from one another, completely. But we all have such individual needs that, can you actually believe that there are people out there that you were meant to spend your life with? Like, to me, this is just crazy. And it could be like 5 people. It could be one person. Like, I think just being open to the fact that, maybe in life we're not meant to be with just one person, or maybe we are meant to be with just one person. Everybody is so different. And everybody's needs are different. So, how we operate as individuals and how we operate as in a partnership can be completely 2 different things. So I think, if you are in a sticky situation, you just have to do the work for you in terms of asking yourself, are you happy? Are you staying true to your values? And are you reaching the goals that you want to reach for yourself? And are you being that supportive person for that other person as well?
Yeah.
It's such an individual approach, just like everything else in life is individualized.
Definitely.
So,
and relationships do go through different phases as well, right? Like, we all have different areas of growth, different challenges. You're going to have times where you're up and your partner's down, and they're up and you're down, and working through different challenges. So if you are wanting to be together, and working through those as well. And like you said, though, checking in and make sure that you're happy first and foremost. Yeah.
And it's not always going to be smooth sailing, but hey,
nope.
Like you said, phases.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we say a massive thank you, Jenna, for joining us today. It's been freaking awesome.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on the launch of your podcast. You girls are such a rad duo, and I absolutely loved catching up with you both. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
Thank you, lovely.
Jenna. Thanks for coming.
So to wrap up the podcast, we had some questions for our listeners. So Alice, did you want to start with the first one?
I guess we just wanted to give each of our listeners this week something to take away from today's podcast. So we thought it'd be great exercise to actually ask you guys what you're going to actively do this week, or how you're going to actively challenge yourself or your mind to step outside your comfort zone this week, whether it be training or, in everyday life. But how maybe can you implement some of the things that Jenna has touched on today, whether that be your self-dialogue, in really focusing on pushing outside your comfort zone at some point in the week ahead.
Yes, Jen?
Remember those 5 elements. The next time you're in that moment of discomfort or hurt or pain, remember those 5 elements. It's the decision, the thoughts, the body language, facial expressions, and the energy. So remember those 5 elements that you can pull from at any given time. And if you need a reminder, like I said, it's a free download on my website.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And then finally, so reflect back on a time in the last fortnight where you were about to push or step into a zone of discomfort and you hesitated for a moment. So you actually held yourself back or you quit. So I want you to reflect on that point in time, bring awareness to why you stopped or why you quit, what happened inside for you. And now look into the future and consider, where is that scenario going to come up again? So where in the future do you see yourself in that similar situation? And you now have an opportunity to retake that moment, given all of the things we've gone through today, all of the strategies Jenna's taken us through. So you're now going to have a chance to go through it again, and this time push through that discomfort. So whether it's asking a question to someone that you're a bit nervous about, or pushing through those final reps in the gym, maybe being really brave and speaking up in a time that's really difficult, or perhaps it's putting yourself out there. So that's the final reflection I'd love for you guys to do this week.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
And supercharge that a little bit by challenging you guys to also do some visualization on that. So it's like practice. The brain doesn't know whether it's happening in real life or whether it's just in your mind or in your vision inside your mind. So if you can visualize and play through the moment over and over again. You've practiced that. You've practiced pushing yourself that extra rep, or you've practiced having that difficult conversation, or you've practiced, you know, whatever it is, you've practiced. So that when you actually go and do it for real, you'll have, you know, you'll be backed by yourself because you've practiced that. You've visualized it in your mind. You'll have the tools. You'll know how it will roll.
Love it. Thanks so much.
It is so powerful.
Jenna.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jenna.
Great.
Thank
I
you.
reckon let's wrap it up today. And I hope you guys loved this podcast. If you did, make sure you take a screenshot, share it for us on your Instagram so we can reshare. And tune in next time to Body and Beyond podcast for our next show. See you later, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you.
The Body and Beyond podcast is for information purposes only. This podcast does not constitute advice or services, and the statements and views of the hosts and guests are not medical advice. The information provided should not be used for treatment or diagnosis purposes. Please discuss any information from this podcast with your healthcare professional before making any changes to your lifestyle.